Upon its original patent, the Desert Eagle, or Deagle for short, took elements from 3 different types of firearms and merged them together to create an iconic gun that's become synonymous with blockbuster action movies and even some blended genre comedies because of its overtly large nature. It's part pistol, part revolver, and part rifle, and all heavy-caliber killing machine. Before the Desert Eagle, if your average Joe wanted to shoot heavy-caliber bullets like a .44 or .357 Magnum, they'd be forced to use a revolver. The revolver had a more simplistic and mechanically stronger design, and it was able to handle the pressures of the heavier caliber bullets. When the Desert Eagle popped up on the gun range, it changed the landscape for the semi-automatic pistol. A lot of credit has to be given to the founders of Magnum Research, Jim Skildum and John Ristall, who had the foresight to see the potential and lack of practicality that the Deagle offers. It was Magnum Research's Bernard White and Riga Arms Institute's Arnold Streinbergs who filed the U.S. patent application for the mechanism that created the gas-actuated semi-automatic pistol, first introduced in 1983. This is largely considered the baseline for the creation of the Desert Eagle, although a second patent was filed in 1985 by Israeli gunmaker Israel Military Industries. The second design is the form that went into larger production. For the next 3 decades, these two companies would share the majority of production responsibility for the gun. The Desert Eagle uses a gas-operated mechanism that's typically found in rifles because the blowback system that's more commonly found in pistols wouldn't be as safe or practical. Whoever decides to employ the use of this hand cannon would find that this gas system diverts some of the hot gunpowder gases from the barrel and ports them through a small hole near the breech. These travel forward through a small tube under the barrel in order to drive a piston that cycles the action. The pistol is fired by a single-action hammer, and luckily for all of its users, has an ambidextrous safety switch. Safety is paramount with a weapon of this caliber, and with this particular rotating drum mechanism that sits over the firing pin, it dramatically reduces the chances of this gun accidentally discharging. With the safety off, watch out, because when the gases reach the cylinder, the piston pushes the slide rearward, the bolt carrier rides rearward on 2 rails on either side of the barrel, operating this larger-than-life mechanism. Its rotating bolt technology resembles that of an M16 series rifle, while the fixed gas cylinder and moving piston resemble that of an M14 rifle. The advantage of the gas operation is that it allows for more powerful cartridges than traditional semi-automatic pistols, and thus allows the Desert Eagle to dominate in an arena previously owned by large-caliber revolvers. The unsolicited downside of the gun is that it discourages the use of unjacketed lead bullets because the lead particles could shear off and clog the gas release tap and prevent proper function. The Desert Eagle is fed with a detachable magazine, and capacities vary from 9 rounds in .357 Magnum, 8 rounds in .44 Magnum, and 7 rounds in the infamous 50 caliber Action Express or 50 caliber AE. No matter which round is being used, it's a uniquely large build with a weight coming in at over 4 pounds. This gun is great to have on you during a rifle malfunction out on a large game hunt, although many argue the use of its practical utility. The recoil has been said by some gun enthusiasts to resemble that of a Glock 9mm. Others argue that a novice shooter could easily be thrown off balance the first few times they shoot the weapon until they learn to brace themselves for the punch the gun packs. Switching the Desert Eagle to another type of chambering requires that the correct bolt, barrel, and magazine are installed, and this makes conversion to firing different rounds quick and easy. The rim diameter of the 50 caliber AE is the exact same as the .44 Remington Magnum round, so only a barrel and magazine change is required to allow a more powerful 50 caliber AE round to be shot from a .44 Desert Eagle. The oldest variant, the Mark I, which is no longer made, was offered in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum alloy frames, and differs primarily in the size and shape of the slide catch and safety levers. The Mark VII includes an adjustable trigger and allows for retrofitting to the Mark I pistols. Together, the models were both available in .357 Magnum and .44 Magnum, the only difference being that the Mark VII was chambered for a .41 Magnum as well. Only later would the Mark VII model be offered with a 50 caliber Action Express capability. Barrel lengths for these two models came in 6, 10, and 14 inches for the .357 and .44 Magnum models, respectively, but only 6 or 10 inches would work for the less popular .41 Magnum. Nobody really knows what happened to models Mark II through Mark VI, and even more curiously, models Mark VIII through Mark XVIII. Most theorize they've been lost forever in the archives of Magnum Research and Israel Military Industries. Regardless, the Mark XIX is the model that we've become familiar with in popular culture today. This most recent model offers a true interchangeability between .357 Magnum, .44 Magnum, .429 DE, and 50 caliber AE. These models come in a variety of different finishes, from titanium gold to polished chrome, and even the more gaudy style tiger stripe pattern. The grip is formed for a two-handed style of shooting, and in order to reduce the recoil further, a proprietary muzzle brake was added to both the 50 caliber AE and 44 Magnum versions. The 357 and 44 Magnum 19 versions have exterior barrel fluting, whereas the 50 caliber AE version has a smooth finish. The current models also now have a newly installed Picatinny rail across the top of the barrel as opposed to the dovetail-style rail on the older models. The Mark 19 barrels are also machined with scope mounting bases, making it easy to add an aftermarket scope for a more Arnold Schwarzenegger and True Lies look. Speaking of the Governator, we might as well add that California, of course, has to have its own special version approved for dealer sales. Its model differs from the standard 19 model because it has a firing pin block incorporated into its design for added safety. The handgun's manufacturing history has changed hands multiple times between American and Israeli gun makers. Israeli Military Industries, or IMI, first manufactured the Desert Eagle for the American firm Magnum Research upon its creation in the mid-1980s. In 1995, manufacturing came to the U.S. by way of Seiko Defense in Maine. Then, in 1998, production went back to Israel and then back again to American gun maker Magnum Research out of Minnesota in 2009. In 2010, Magnum Research was purchased by Carr Arms, but still produces Desert Eagle stateside to this day. So have no fear when purchasing a new Desert Eagle, because they are now exclusively American-made. Several spin-offs of the gun have been made over the years, like the Jericho, also known as the Baby Eagle. IMI makes the Jericho 941, and Magnum Research markets the gun as the Baby Eagle. Although it bears no functional equivalence, its barrel swapping ability does mirror that of the Desert Eagle. Magnum Research also introduced a pistol called the Micro Desert Eagle. It has almost no resemblance to the Desert Eagle and doesn't share its ammunition or barrel swapping abilities, but it shares the gas-assisted blowback system. Safe to say that the comparison to the Desert Eagle will continue as long as Magnum Research has any stake in the matter. Rumor has it that the company even solicited the gun to prop houses in order to gain some of the commercial success that it's had. The argument can be made that the Desert Eagle has become just as famous for pistols, or infamous depending on which gun enthusiast camp you belong, as the AK-47 has for assault rifles. It even had numerous appearances in film, TV shows, video games, and even anime. The first use of the gun in film is credited to Year of the Dragon in 1985. In that same year, it appeared in Commando and Police Academy 2 and instantly became a cult classic. Some of the bigger film titles the pistol has notably appeared in are RoboCop, Crank, and Matrix movie series, Belly Snatch, Austin Powers, and Goldmember, Boondock Saints, and countless other movie titles. Some of us remember the gun's claim to fame on TV by its use in Miami Vice, The Sopranos, True Detective, and The Shield. If you're looking to get behind one of these puppies but don't want to fork over the dough to buy one, you can virtually shoot lookalikes, and oddly enough, often stainless steel versions in the Tomb Raider, Grand Theft Auto, Rainbow Six Vegas, and Dead Island series. The Desert Eagle has never been adopted by any military or police force because, to put it bluntly, its practicality is limited, to say the least. The $1.50 to $2.50 cost per bullet is a steep price tag for ammunition, especially if you have to outfit hundreds or even thousands of personnel. On YouTube, you can see countless videos of the Desert Eagle's power. The gun can be seen ripping through various objects, the obligatory watermelon, rocks, a refrigerator, even a bowling ball. When looking at the specifications and evolution of the Desert Eagle, we feel it can safely be said that although this weapon echoes in the halls of gun historians everywhere for its sheer power, it is largely considered a flop. Now go watch Evolution of the M16 or click this other link instead.